Mo, man accused of choking wife to death in hospital bed, then saying I did it. Ronnie Wiggs allegedly admitted to trying to kill his wife 2 times before in the hospital and at a rehab facility, say prosecutors. A Missouri man is charged with second-degree murder for allegedly strangling his wife to death as she lay in a hospital bed, prosecutors said. U.S. man kills wife at hospital after failing to pay her medical bills. Just before 11:30 p.m. on Friday night, personnel at the Centerpoint Medical Center in Independence called an off-duty police officer to the ICU about an alleged assault on a patient. The probable cause statement shows, KMBC reports. The patient, identified only as a female, was in the hospital to get a new port for dialysis. While she was in her hospital bed, her husband, Ronnie Wiggs, began choking her. The prosecutor said he allegedly covered her mouth and nose so she couldn't scream for help. When the officer arrived, Wiggs's wife was unresponsive and had no pulse, but she was still alive and placed on life support, according to the probable cause statement cited by the outlet. Hospital staff told police they allegedly heard Wiggs say, I did it. I killed her. I choked her. Wiggs was arrested for first-degree domestic assault and taken to the Independence Police Department. His wife was taken off life support when she showed signs of having no brain function. During questioning, Wiggs allegedly told police he strangled his wife. He allegedly said he had tried to kill her 2 times before. The court documents state, he said he killed her because he couldn't take care of her anymore or afford her medical bills. Wiggs was charged with second-degree murder. The Kansas City Star reports. He is being held on a $250,000 bond. It is unclear whether he has retained an attorney who can speak on his behalf. U.S. man kills wife at hospital after failing to pay her medical bills. A U.S. man has been charged with second-degree murder after he strangled his wife to death at a hospital. The husband, Ronnie Wiggs, told the police that he couldn't afford her medical bills. The incident occurred around 11:30 p.m. on Friday at the Centerpoint Medical Center in Independence, Missouri. The hospital staff contacted an off-duty police officer following an alleged assault on a patient in the ICU. The victim, identified only as a female, was receiving a new port for dialysis. Prosecutors alleged that while the woman was in her hospital bed, Ronnie Wiggs began choking her. He also reportedly covered her mouth and nose to prevent her from calling for help, prosecutors said. After the police arrived, the victim was unresponsive and had no pulse, according to S. But she was still put on life. She was later taken off life support after no signs of brain function. Prosecutors alleged that while the woman was in her hospital bed, Ronnie Wiggs began choking her. He also reportedly covered her mouth and nose to prevent her from calling for help, prosecutors said. After the police arrived, the victim was unresponsive and had no pulse, but she was still put on. She was later taken off life support after no signs of brain function. The hospital staff reportedly overheard Mr. Wiggs confessing to killing her. I did it. I killed her. I choked her, he said. Mr. Wiggs was arrested for first-degree domestic assault and taken into custody by the Independence Police Department. During questioning, he confessed that his wife was undergoing a procedure to receive a new dialysis port. He also told the police that he covered his wife's nose and mouth to stop her from screaming and put his thumbs on her throat. He admitted he was struggling financially and battling depression, as a result of which he decided to kill his wife. Mr. Wiggs also confessed that he had attempted to kill her twice during past hospital and rehabilitation visits. An elderly Missouri man is behind bars after confessing to murdering his ailing wife because he didn't want to pay her medical expenses anymore. Ronnie Wiggs of Independence allegedly covered his wife's mouth as she lay in a hospital bed before squeezing the life out of her with his hands around her throat. According to court documents, his wife, unnamed in court documents, was staying at the Centerpoint Medical Center to get a dialysis port replaced on Friday night when officers were called to her ward over reports of an assault. She had been found in her bed, unresponsive and without a pulse, while witnesses reported she had suspicious markings on her neck. Wiggs, whose age was reported by local media as 75 or 76, was nowhere to be found at first, having fled the hospital. But he later returned and reportedly was heard confessing to the murder. I did it! I killed her! I choked her! Wiggs was heard saying by hospital staff. Still barely alive after the attack, Wiggs' wife was treated until she was declared dead. Wiggs, meanwhile, was detained by police where he again admitted to the killing, explaining how he covered her mouth to quiet her screams, then strangled her to death with his hands. He admitted to killing his wife by choking her and covering her mouth and nose to keep her from screaming before leaving the hospital, according to the statement. He later returned with a relative, it said. According to the statement, Wiggs told a police officer he tried to kill the victim on 2 other occasions while she was hospitalized, adding that he was depressed and killed her because he could not afford the medical bills. Upon returning to the hospital, the relative and staff told police that Wiggs had admitted to choking and killing his wife, according to WDOF. The station, citing court documents, reported that another individual reported finding suspicious injuries, as well as fresh wounds on the victim's neck. Wiggs also allegedly admitted that he had attempted to kill his wife on 2 separate hospital and rehabilitation visits, per WDAF. Wiggs allegedly told authorities that he killed his wife due to depression. Wiggs claimed he was depressed and wanted his wife dead because he couldn't keep up with her medical bills any longer. He is being held on $250,000 bond.